from the heart of fire.
He who stops learning fades into irrelevancy.
Tempered and hope.
You've got to be open, new ideas and working with other people with their vision.
From the flames.
I didn't have that outlet, then it would be pretty rough, right?
They shall rise. It's time to enter the Creative Forge.
Hello and welcome along to another episode of Creative Forge. Today we are speaking to Luke Farrell, who is big into NFTs, AI and automation. How are you today, Luke?
I'm good, thanks, buddy.
Let's jump straight in. So first of all, I'd like to know a bit about you and your background. What sparked your interest in NFTs and AI?
Yeah, so I think like a lot of people kind of in that kind of sales and business world like myself, we were all following Gary V, and one day on Instagram he started talking about these things called NFTs, and it was all downhill from there really. And so probably spent a good couple of years getting involved in various NFT ecosystems. Never really made any money, never really lost any money, and then strangely enough got involved in the AI space because what I realized was a lot of my contacts and friends in the NFT space were the kind of people that are always sort of ahead of the trends, and so they'd been there for crypto and NFTs and maybe SMMA and drop shipping and things like that, and then it was onto the AI and automation.
That's brilliant. What is your background outside of NFTs and AI?
So I've been in sales forever. I've been in tech sales specifically for the last 10 years, and for probably 10-ish years before that. I always just kind of picked up, just fell into sales really, working with and for friends, and before you know it, it's 2 decades doing the same thing, and hence the reason why jumping on the AI and automation bandwagon to start something for myself.
Yes, I can resonate with you there, and I think a lot of people will also be able to relate to that feeling that we've spent too long working for somebody else and it's time we do something for ourselves. I don't know much about the NFT space. You said that you first became interested by seeing stuff from Gary V. What's the main intrigue with the NFT space?
So I think initially it was absolutely the money. I did a little bit of research into NFTs. I never actually bought a VFriend. Was kind of confused at the whole collectible aspect, and having never been a collector before, kind of understood a little bit around the technology, the blockchain technology behind them. But honestly, just was made aware of it by Gary V. Didn't mint his VFriends project, and like a lot of people, just saw the prices of these things skyrocketing. So absolutely, I jumped into the Web3 world purely fueled by FOMO because I'd missed out on all this free money. But what I will say about the VFriends community is that through the VFriends community and the communities of other Web3 projects have made some absolutely friends for life, business connections. I've traveled the world, meeting people. So, like I said, I didn't ever really lose any money. I definitely didn't make any money, but I'm in a completely different space in terms of my personal network, my professional network, and even my mental health as well, to a degree. So, it's been a real ride, and I think that is for me, that's the main difference. Forget about the money. The technology is obviously important, and we can geek out on that. But I think for the Web3 space, what really, really differentiated that from any other trend I'd seen was the communities behind these NFT projects.
Yeah, I can completely relate to that. I've jumped on a couple of Web3 spaces on X. It does seem very community focused, and even Money Twitter or Money X is very similar. You said that you're now moving into AI and automation. So is this something that you're looking to build a business out of?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, through my Web3 network, I ended up meeting 3 guys that were starting their own agency at the time. It wasn't AI and automation, but I know Tom Youngs, and there was Liam Evans and a guy called Mark the Spaceman as well. They were going to start their own business. I was going to help them. But unfortunately, things didn't really work out. They then pivoted. Tom was doing his own thing now, as you know. They then pivoted to the AI and automation space, and everything just kind of came together. Firstly, the whole AI thing was becoming this trend, and I've missed every single trend that there ever has been. Secondly, I have sold essentially AI and automation solutions when I was working for IBM, like almost 10 years ago. So the only difference now is obviously a lot of the platforms are low code and no code SaaS. We can all do it from our kitchens. You don't need to spend a couple of $100,000 with IBM anymore. But those, concepts and business cases and all the benefits that come from that kind of technology, it's still the same pitch. It's still the same conversation and business benefit. So super familiar with that. And as you hinted to at the start, it's just, you blink, it's 20 years later, you're still working for someone else. And I'm surrounded by a lot of these business people, again, that I probably would have met through Web3 that are absolutely working for themselves and enjoying all the freedoms that come with that. So all those things kind of came together at the right time, and I am still working my 9 to 5. But yeah, I'm absolutely building an AI and automation agency when everyone else is asleep.
That's brilliant. What sort of services are you looking to do with the AI and automation? Is it a software as a service kind of thing, or is there a specific sort of product you've got in mind?
So at the moment, it's more service based. Though I'm on a masterclass tonight learning about how you actually use platforms like Bubble to essentially productize these things. So you're selling products, not services. But that's a whole nother story. But yeah, initially it's just that it's more the services. And again, having been in sales forever, the number of people that have said to me, stick to what you know. So it's tricky because you can automate absolutely anything, but I am focused on those sales processes, either customer facing or behind the scenes, or lead generation, getting value getting value for and from your customers, and all the processes around that. So essentially that the quick win there, it is the things like chatbots, and it is things like simple automations that essentially glue a business's existing tools together to make things more optimized. But at a high level, you're just going in, either picking a niche, an industry, or a process and trying to make it quicker, more efficient, save somebody some time, save somebody from effort. And then that's when you open the conversation to the wider business implications and applications.
As you've said, you've been around for 20 years doing sales and tech, and you've worked with IBM. I've also got a similar background, but more of the tech side of IT, 17 years in a corporate environment. So we've both seen how it's changed over the years. Do you think that AI and automation will be key for business growth in the corporate world? And how do you see them taking it on, knowing that a lot of big businesses can be slow to take on changes when it comes to upgrading tech?
So I think the applications and the benefits at a high level are exactly the same, depending if you've got a ginormous corporation or a two-person startup. But exactly to your point, it's always the larger organizations that are slower to react, act, and implement these things. And sometimes it's totally valid. When we talk about tools like ChatGPT and what the hell is going on with my data and where is my data, a two-person startup, with the greatest of respect, might not think of that as a priority, whereas a bank or an insurance company will absolutely not do something if they do not know where their data is, and if potentially they will be in breach of GDPR regulations. And then as well, you've got the size of the business as well. A two-person startup can make a decision much quicker than a 40,000 strong organization with many layers of bureaucracy. So I see the benefits as exactly the same. It's just it'll always be and we see it all the time. Smaller companies come along and completely disrupt industries because they're using different technology, they're moving quicker, and also they probably have different cultures as well, which definitely helps.
Yeah, completely. I know the frustrations of trying to get any changes done in the corporate world, and like you say, sometimes it isn't a simple case of yes, we can just do that.
Yeah, and I think as well, we also have to be cognizant of the fact that a lot of these new AI and automation tools will replace people. And no matter how much we say, AI won't replace your job, but somebody that can use AI will replace your job, it is obvious that and it's not just an AI thing. It's happened all through the history of technology. Something new comes out, people's jobs get replaced. They have to then reskill or be redeployed somewhere else, or potentially never work again. And unfortunately, it's just a fact of life, and a part of the technology kind of improvements, if you like, as we go along. So there's absolutely that fear as well. It's not just a data thing or a bureaucracy thing. People like to have jobs, and if something's coming to take their job, then they probably will do everything in their power to block it. And that again is totally understandable.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a fair point. You only need to look at a supermarket these days and you can do self-service checkout, when 10 years ago that wasn't there. So it's completely understandable that people who aren't aware of what the technology is there to do are being worried about it taking away a role from them. It's an interesting time, and it will be interesting to see how it moves forwards. Given the rapid advancements in AI, what do you think the major challenges that businesses would face trying to incorporate it, and how would you, within the business that you're building, address those issues?
So I think for me, the biggest one is probably, as I mentioned before, it's around like data protection and the regulations around that. How you address those is, well, one, you need to, as an agency, you need to understand exactly what those regulations are, how they affect the businesses, and how your solutions may or may not be compliant. And you only need to Google ChatGPT, is my data safe? And you get a whole raft of confusing articles and documents. And even ChatGPT, if you scan their website, doesn't really say exactly where the data is. And because I do have, as I've worked in many different teams and products and solutions in sales, like I have done a good bit in risk management and data security before. And I think that as long as you are trying to, what's the best way to say this? As long as you are selling a product or a solution, and you are being open and honest about whether or not this potentially is or isn't compliant to various regulations. I'm not saying businesses will consciously do something that's against the regulation, but it's not uncommon for businesses to essentially take on risk and have levels of acceptable risk within a business. Not everybody is 100% squeaky clean, consciously or unconsciously. And some businesses, and again, it comes down to culture, budgets, or all kinds of different things. It will be there, written in their documents and policies and procedures, that they have X, Y, and Z, and it is deemed an acceptable risk, and then they move forward. So I think a lot of it comes down to when you're using these solutions, it's where is the data, where's it going. You need to be absolutely on top of all the regulations, understand everything implicitly to the best of your ability, be open, be honest. And what I would say is, if a potential client is very nervous, then there's lots of things you can do before you even get to that level. There's a lot of tools out there that will only use the data that you give it or that you train it on. And so before you start using things like ChatGPT to essentially take that data somewhere to do some sort of analysis on it and then spit back an answer, there are many other things you can do with AI, with automation, that's within the four walls of your GDPR compliant environment, to see some benefits. I think with the hype of AI, we're very quick to call out all the bad stuff, all the dodgy stuff. The robots are coming to kill us. They're stealing all our data and our jobs. But certainly on the automation side, there is a ton of very simple but high value things you can do with your own IT estate at the moment, and you should probably start there.
Do you have any examples where an AI solution has made a transformative impact on a business?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, the term transformative is definitely subjective to the business that you're talking to. So I probably don't use the phrase transformative. I'm just looking to find some pain points and solve some problems. And as long as those problems have a positive business outcome, be it and normally that's affecting the bottom line, then that's kind of where I'm focused on initially, because I've only been doing this for a few months. I wouldn't say I've totally transformed a business, but the use cases that I'm working on. So, for example, we were talking about chatbots earlier. I've one client, and they when they first approached me, I didn't think there was much here, because they only had 4 products on their website. But the 4 products are very, very similar, but do very, very different things. And so, believe it or not, in this world we live in, where no one actually pays attention to what they're doing, people often buy the wrong product. And so they get hammered with returns that obviously cost money and time and effort. So the chatbot that I built for them was essentially trying to catch the customer on the web page, engage them, ask them some very simple questions, then direct them to the right product. I have another client that I've only just started speaking to, that has a completely opposite problem, in that he has, if you include all the SKUs, over 1 million products on his website. And so he's looking for a bot that can recommend products, but it's a completely different scenario, because we've gone from 4 products to potentially 1 million, and they're completely different industries. On the other hand, I have another company, and they've actually already automated their entire CRM process from when the customer orders something to when it gets shipped from the warehouse. There's just one bit that's broken. And it's when the payment provider essentially sends its message back to the CRM to say, yes, that person is paid. So it's a very manual process for them to catch that and then input it into the CRM. And it's just one guy, because it's a small startup. It's one guy doing a ton of things. This is a pain in the ass. And I fixed the problem in about 3 minutes with a tool called Zapier, which essentially just kind of glues existing solutions together. But again, for him, that's amazing, because there's now going to be no delays in getting the orders to the warehouse. He's not going to miss any orders if he's having to do everything manually. So he thinks that is absolutely amazing. And that's just the perfect example of someone that has heard about AI, was interested, didn't have a clue when he got on the call with me exactly what was going to happen. I'd looked at his website and was ready to sell him the best bot in the world, but this was his pain point. And so, so he's happy.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people need to realise is, like you say, the majority of the things that we're actually getting AI to do is the little simple pain points that under normal circumstances would either be a lot of coding or a manual process. All you've done is taken something that was a little bit of a pain and fixed it. And it might not seem like a lot, but to him, it is transformative in a sense, because it's taking that pain away and allow him to be more efficient with what he's trying to build and scale.
Absolutely, yeah. And then I suppose the next step is probably to be more transformative for me, which is, to your point earlier, okay, I've built this automation that does this very specific thing. How do I productize that now? And how can I sell that as a product as well as a service that I sell? So somebody with a similar problem can just find it, buy it, and do it all themselves. There is so much to do. There's so much opportunity out there.
Yeah, I can imagine it's quite difficult to pinpoint that one thing that you could productize to a lot of people, when the 3 examples that you've given us have been very bespoke to each person. So do you move away from providing the service of creating a bespoke product, or do you try and create a product that will work for a lot of people, or even a component-based product?
Yeah, absolutely. It's there is so much, and that's one thing that this whole AI space, again, I do remember back in the day looking at drop shipping and not really understanding it. And I did have a little look at social media marketing, because back in the day Gary Vee was all over it. I didn't really I kind of got it, but it didn't really interest me. Whereas now I'm in this world of AI and automation, every day there's a different use case, every day there's a different conversation to be had. Or even someone, anybody that you talk to, there's something you can help with. The challenge is obviously niching down, focusing on the right things, and not having shiny object syndrome. Even like the call I probably shouldn't be going on tonight to see how I can productize stuff. There's so much opportunity out there. So I absolutely encourage anybody that does listen to this podcast to yeah, reach out because I'm hyped, and I think everybody should be jumping on this bandwagon.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot more into it lately. When I first started doing online business hustles and jumping on X, I started playing around with ChatGPT, and I think probably everybody who does this at the start, where you just ask very basic questions, probably similar to when you do a Google search. And then once you realise that if you actually give it some context and build your prompts correctly, making it really specific and asking for what you want, how much more value you can actually get from it. And now the stuff that I've been getting out of it is way better than when I started.
Yeah, I think actually just to link that back to what you were talking about, transformative technologies. Like, yeah, some of the stuff I've seen lately and tried myself on ChatGPT is absolutely a transformative technology. But I think that's another reason why, if anybody is interested in getting into the space, they should, because exactly what you're saying. Like, a few months ago, I was using ChatGPT to write me some LinkedIn blogs for my real life job. But if you actually sit down and learn how to use it, surround yourself with a community of people that are all working towards the same goal and also trying to use it and experimenting it and sharing the results, you can see some unbelievable results. But you have to, it's like everything, you have to take the time to dig into it. And I think 99% of people that have used ChatGPT have asked it, like you said, they've asked it a few questions, they've used it as a search engine, but it's the rest of us that are really getting into it that are going to see huge value from it down the road. And I truly believe that. So again, anyone listening that just played with ChatGPT a few months ago, drop me a DM. You can DM Phil as well. I'm sure he won't mind me saying it. And yeah, we get into the good stuff.
With the tech landscape being so dynamic, how do you ensure that you're staying up to date on all the latest technologies and developing yourself personally within this industry?
Yeah, so I maybe it's the salesman in me, but I'm super lazy, and so I absolutely lean on my network. It's probably very rare that I will actually go and look for something myself. I'm just looking at what other people are doing. So yeah, I'm in a few different, what would you call them, inner circles, networking groups. And then I have notifications on as well. If I see people hosting spaces, then I'll jump on those and see what they're talking about, be it AI and automation, or if it's just things I'm interested in, like NFTs and blockchain technology. Yeah, I lean more on my network because I know that they are, well, a trustworthy source of information, and you can't trust everything you see on the internet, it turns out. But yeah, but also I know they kind of have the same sort of mindset and goals as me, and so yeah, and so I kind of like hedging my bets. We hedge my bets there. Why? It's a terrible thing to say, but why should I spend time looking for stuff by myself when I've surrounded myself with such good people that are uncovering new things, and in turn that then pushes me to give back to them when they've provided me with some value as well.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I do a similar thing. There's always going to be something that somebody else has thought of or come across where you go, oh, that's brilliant, and how can I take that idea and make it applicable to me or put my own spin on it? And I think that is a great way to do it, rather than just constantly trying to do it on your own. You can't make it on your own. You do need other people. You need to bounce ideas off of other people, and that's how we grow as a community and a society. Based on your background and your insights, where do you envision the trajectory of AI and NFTs heading over the next 10 years?
I have absolutely no idea, to be honest with you. I've never been one to look ahead too far into the future. I think when it comes to AI and automation, I don't know if things are going to change too much over the next 10 years because, like I said at the start, I've been aware of and sold those types of technologies 10 years ago. So for me, even though everyone's kind of buzzing about AI at the moment and it's a bit of a trend, for me it's been around forever already. And I think as humans we're always looking to optimize and improve and save time and save money. So whereas the technology will no doubt get even more easier to use, even more easier to implement into business, and probably even more easier to see value from, goodness only knows what that technology will actually look like. I just hope I'm there using it, or maybe I've made my millions and retired already. And I think on the NFT side, again, it's really difficult to know from an NFT perspective what NFT is going to be like in the next 10 years. I think we had this last kind of hype cycle where it was, profile pictures and communities and, just a lot of craziness going on in the markets. When that comes around again, I predict that NFTs will, and they're being used like this already, but I think if the NFT kind of trend comes around again, it will be focused more on, as access tokens to high value communities. I'm not sure if we'll see that kind of profile picture kind of meta again. And in terms of actual blockchain technology itself, in 10 years time, I hope it's everywhere. I hope everything we do is running on blockchain technology, and no one is any the wiser, because I think that's when you've hit mass adoption. Did we care? Or actually, I don't want to insult you by thinking you're as old as me, but did I care when Facebook stored my photos on the cloud? No, I just knew that my photos were on my phone and my friends could see them. And so I think as the more mainstream blockchain technology goes along like that, be it all our ticket stubs on Ticketmaster will be stored on a blockchain and be in NFT form. No one will know, because people will just use their phones as they did, and the tickets on the phone. And there are there's tons of other kind of potential applications for blockchains, but I won't bore you now. But I think at a high level, I'd like to think in 10 years. We're all using blockchain technology and NFT technology, and we don't even know about it.
Yeah, I think you might be right there. And I think with crypto, there's a lot of people who are also suggesting that could be the future of currency. So that could also be linked into it as well. Could you ever see us in a world like Star Wars, where we've got droids running around with AI technology? Or do you think that's still a good few years off?
That is a good question. I'm not. Yeah, I've absolutely no idea how actual robots or droids work. But it wouldn't. You wouldn't have thought it'd be if you can train a chatbot by essentially building what's called its knowledge base to be able to respond to commands, and you can tell it how to behave. And we've got speech, called speech to text and text to speech technology as well. So with my non-technical brain, don't see any reason why we can't have droids running around and you can say, oh, hey, R2D2, go and get me a beer. And it'll know that your favorite beer in the fridge is that. It knows what the fridge is, and knows the temperature and maybe even the fridge. The fridge knows the droid's coming, and maybe it's 1 degree too warm in the fridge, so it'll quickly cool the beer down for you. And I don't know. It's crazy, but I can't imagine. Yeah, I can't imagine it'd be too difficult for someone to do it. It won't be me. Maybe Elon will get involved.
Maybe. You've definitely made me laugh, if nothing else, envisaging R2 going and getting you a beer. Lastly then, in a hypothetical world where all current tech suddenly vanished, what one invention from the past would you bring back to kickstart innovation?
Mate, you should have prepped me with these questions. What would I bring back to kickstart technology?
Or what do you think has been a really innovative piece of technology?
Well, obviously our phones have absolutely, now that's been transformative. Having essentially a supercomputer in your hand has been absolutely transformative. Maybe I would, but you know what? I would bring back, if I had to bring back one thing, I wouldn't bring back the mobile phone. I would bring back the payphone. And the reason I'm saying this is because as an old guy now, it's bad enough seeing kids have these apps on their phones that they can just go out and meet guys and girls. Whereas back in my day, you actually had to sneak out of the house, get 20p from your mum's purse when she wasn't looking, sneak out of the house, get down to the payphone, and hope to God that the girl's dad didn't answer the phone when you actually had the bottle to ring. So I actually think for the good of humanity, because what they say, tough times breed tough people. I think the youth of today have it way too easy with the mobile phone. So if I'm bringing back one piece of technology, it's the payphone, because kids need to toughen up when it comes to socializing and meeting other boys and girls.
I love your reasoning behind that. When you first said payphone, I was thinking, you know what? Actually, that's a really good idea, because how many times has your phone died? You're out and about, you've broken down, you need to get some help, and there are no payphones around anymore. But no, you went with so you can go and meet girls. Luke, thank you very much for coming and chatting with me today. It's been really fun. I've learned a lot and I've laughed, and that's all I can ask for.
No, man, I appreciate the invite. And yeah, man, some of those questions really got me thinking. So I need to lie down after that. My brain's starting to hurt. I'll be relying on ChatGPT to talk to the missus now for the rest of the evening.
And that's it for this episode of Creative Forge. As always, thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Creative Forge.